Hey everybody, it's Dr. V. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to do a reading today. It's a combination of reading for people who are in no communication with their divine counterpart, their sacred sidekick, their twin flame, soulmate, whatever label you choose to apply. This is going to be a combination of no communication and do you ever cross their mind? So like what's going on in their thought space, their heart when they think about you. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump right in. First, I want to say thank you to everybody who who's liked, commented, subscribed, shared my videos, reached out to me for a private reading. I really appreciate all of you. And it's such an honor and a joy to be with you on this journey and to be able to be a guide. So Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for communication. May the messages that come through be in the highest good of all those concerned. I draw a sacred circle around this space, calling upon my guides, ancestors, higher wisdom, divine love, great spirit to be with me, to guide this energy, to protect these messages, and all those who are listening, and all those who are impacted. So I've already shuffled and cut the deck, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. I really just want to know like what the overall energy is for this person, the person that you're thinking about in this connection. What is their overall energy right now? So we have the Four of Candles in reverse, the Three of Vials in reverse, and the World in reverse. Interesting. So it's like right off the jump, you see that there's a lot of what we would consider maybe struggling going on. The Four of Candles in reverse is what would be the Four of Wands in the traditional tarot, which is a twin flame confirmation card. It's a card of union, it's celebration, it's like, people feeling like their efforts are paying off. In the reverse, it's saying like somebody is not seeing the big payoffs that they're hoping for. They're seeing like maybe little victories, but they're hoping for they're not seeing the big victories that they've been hoping for. So they're kind of trying to celebrate the small things, trying to be in a space of like, well, it's it's not bad, it's not horrible, but it's not what I was hoping for. So it's like I was hoping for a New York Times best-selling book, but I got an article in the school newspaper, but that's okay, and trying to make the best of it. Okay, so it's really trying to stay positive about the situation. This is a person who has gone through some kind of tragedy or some kind of loss. Okay, so this is somebody who may have really, and it could be the connection with you that has really thrown them off, and they're trying to focus on the things that they have to be grateful for. Really trying to focus on gratitude and celebrating the small things, even if it's not exactly what they want or what they've envisioned for their life. So it's very interesting. It feels like there is some sense of grief and loss that is playing out. And then we have the Three of Vials, which is somebody who is often, this is a card of people who feel lonely, sad, left out. Maybe everybody else around them is having like this really great, great time. Things are working out. People are celebrating. Things are working out for other people. They're getting the big victories, and this other person's like not seeing it. And so they feel like, maybe a little bit lonely. Maybe they've isolated themselves a little bit too much, or they're just not feeling deeply connected to anybody. It's like maybe they're surrounded by people and are feeling completely disconnected. I don't think there's a worse kind of loneliness than to be surrounded by people and still feel alone. To have people around you that don't understand you, that don't get you, that have no interest in exploring who you are. And so that can be a very lonely experience. And it can also say, look, maybe they're standing in their own way. Maybe they're denying themselves access. Maybe the person that genuinely understands them, like in this particular situation, which I feel like would be you, they're denying themselves access because of other obligations or other situations. Sorry, I had to adjust the camera. So that could be the energy that they're feeling right now too, as well as really trying to celebrate the small things. That is a message on this card as well. And so it's interesting because there's a lot of really trying to celebrate the small, really trying to stay focused on that. And I almost feel like it's somebody who's trying to content themselves with lesser or lower situations or lower energies, because if they can do that, then they don't have to focus on the pain that they're feeling. This is a person who's like, well, it's, I still have this. It's not all bad. I still have this. I still have that. And trying to kind of deny what they're really feeling. Then we have the World. They feel like something, and it's the World in reverse, is somebody who, it's an energy of feeling like it's incomplete. Something is incomplete. Something needs to, didn't end well. It's like an incomplete ending. It was unsatisfactory. It was, it's like they perhaps were hoping for things to go a certain way. It didn't go that way. And then now it's like it feels incomplete. It feels like there's unfinished business that they're kind of dealing with. And it's, causing them to have some discontentment. And also feels like they're in this endless cycle. Like they may have gone through around this cycle of energy many, many times, and they're continuing to feel that. So is there something that they want you to know? Interesting. Wow. All right. They want you to know that they're making a plan. Okay, this dreamer of tomes is somebody who's planning. It's somebody who's looking at their life and looking at their future. I don't know if that means right off the jump that when they're planning something that it means that they're gonna like make moves towards you. Doesn't necessarily mean that. This is what would be the Page of Pentacles in the traditional tarot. It's somebody who's really trying. I get this energy of really trying to get grounded and to make a plan. This is a person who maybe their life has been chaotic in the past. Maybe they haven't had plans. Maybe they've just kind of run by the seat of their pants and didn't really plan for their future. Didn't really know what the heck they were doing or what they wanted, or even to take the time to figure out, like, is this person or is this decision going to get me to where I want to be in the long run, because they didn't really have a long-term plan. There's a book, it's I think it's Stephen Covey, and it's called The 7 Habits of Successful People, I think, or I don't know. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I think is what it's called. But one of the habits is beginning with the end in mind. It's like you wouldn't start out on a road trip, and I'm in Colorado, and I wouldn't start out on a road trip and be like, I'm just going to drive out to Seattle and, wherever I end up without taking a map or figuring out how long it's going to take or having a budget, right? Like you plan that shit. Like if you're smart, you plan it. You want to know what to do. But there's a lot of people who don't plan their lives. They just live by the seat of their pants. They're like, well, this is going to happen this day. And they never get anywhere because of that. And it feels like this person, the person that you're listening for, has gotten to that space where they have figured out, like, I don't plan. I don't have a plan. I don't have a big vision for my life or what I want. And now they're starting to think about it. Now they're starting to think about, well, how am I supposed to get to this particular place in my life if I don't have a plan, if I don't have a strategy, if I don't even have a vision, if I don't have a goal? So they're in that space. And then the other space that they're in is looking at their life choices and being like, are the people in my life that I've surrounded myself with, are these the type of people who are going to get me to where I want to go? Or are these people that are going to hinder my progress? There's a saying that says that you can tell somebody's level of success by the 5 people they spend their time, most of their time with. Like and it's very, very accurate. So for me, I prefer to spend my time around people that are very conscious, who are prosperous, who are abundant, who are loving, who stay in that kind of space. And so the people that I invest in, that I spend time with, that I make a priority in my life, are literally people who have who vibe at that level. Because I understand that that if I'm going to create the kind of success that I want to create in my life and all around, I'm going to have to be around people that have done that themselves and who are also committed to those same things. Now, it feels like this person is starting to understand that as well. Now, the 6 of Vials is a card of nostalgia. This is somebody who's looking back at the past, and they're looking back fondly. This has been coming up in reverse quite a bit in the past few weeks. And but now it's in the upright, which is saying to me that there's been a shift. Something has shifted. The energy has shifted in that other person, and it's like they are looking back at the past more positively. It's like if they were looking back at the past with you in particular and thinking like, oh, this person was, thinking about all the negative times and all the difficulties and the challenges that were present, it might have blocked them from being able to actually see the beauty that was present in the connection. They've been unable to see the gift that it was. So this is saying to me that their energy toward you has shifted. So whatever went down between the two of you has really shifted in their energy field, and they're not looking at it in a bad light anymore. They're not looking at it in a negative way. They're really truly looking at it positively. They're like, who I am now, where I am now is directly connected to this path that I took, directly connected to this person. I actually had that awareness. I think I've said this to you before, but I'll say it here, that I really understand and have so much gratitude because I understand that my life has shifted so dramatically because of this connection, and I feel a lot of gratitude for it. But now it feels like for a lot of the counterparts that weren't in that space, now they're beginning to move into that space. This also is a card of reunited, like Peaches and Herb, reunited, and it feels so good. I mean, this really could be people coming back together. This really could, and I don't mean like full on like, run off to Vegas and get married by an Elvis impersonator reunited. I mean, like, perhaps coming back together with a sense of peace and being able to close chapters that needed to be closed, maybe coming back together to just communicate and, the cycle, to end the cycle, to finish this cycle in a satisfactory way where it doesn't feel like there's unfinished business, that there's things that need to be said, wounds that need to be healed. That feels like that energy. Now it could be that they come back and they come back to you and say, hey, I really thought about this and this is what I want, and I'm going to make the plans to move in that direction. That could also be a possibility. I'm not saying that. Like, I'm very hesitant to say things like that, because I don't ever want to be the reader that's like blowing smoke up people's butts so that you feel better about things and creating false hope. That's not at all what I'm interested in. I'm saying that there's a realm of possibilities. There's the possibility for that, and there's a possibility that nothing will happen in your particular situation. It's just how the energies resonate, and also how you participate with the energies. So, but this is a card that suggests a reunification, reuniting, coming back together. And then we have the Six of Candles, which is a card of celebration. This is like the card that comes back, the energy of coming back from like, I don't know, I'm thinking of like when I was in high school, we won the state championship one year. It was a small town, and so it was like this big deal. Like, everybody's at the school waiting, and it was like, we got within like, I think it was like 5 miles of our town, and there was like all these cop cars that were out there waiting, and they like escorted us into town with the lights on and the sirens blazing, and it was like a big deal. And then this is that card coming back after you've gone out and done something and come back and it's successful and you're celebrating and you're like, this is amazing. There's victory at hand, there's a celebration, and it's time to enjoy this. It's time to enjoy this this victory, these feelings of success, to celebrate, to really be in that space. So I almost see like the story playing out, because I read the tarot cards like a story. I almost see this as like this person planning how to come toward you and heal the past, and to fix whatever was broken, and to close these cycles with peace and reconciliation, and regardless of what that looks like, whether it's just coming together so that you can part with peace, or coming together so you can reunite, whatever that might look like, and really imagining and feeling this energy of celebration. So it's very, very interesting. So what is it that's holding him back right now? So you have the Death card, the Dreamer of Vials in reverse, and the Seven of Candles. Oh, and by the way, this is the Numinous Tarot. Noel Arthur Hempel, I'm not quite sure how to say their name. But so we have the Death card. What's holding them back right now is that they're in the middle of a transformation. They're in the middle of a rebirth. They're not in this. They haven't risen. Like the person watching this video has risen from the fire. You have come above, right? You're the phoenix post burning. Now you're the peacock, because I believe in the mythology that the peacock represents the phoenix post burn. Okay, they're in the fire right now. they're in that transformation process. They're really going through it. And I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I really don't feel like it's a bad thing at all. I feel like it's literally a transformation of this self-examination of, here I go referencing Dr. Phil again, where they're looking back at their life and being like, okay, but how is this working out for me? Like, how is that working out for you? Is it good? Am I getting the results that I want? Am I happy? Am I, is this really what I want? Do I want to spend the rest of my life like this, or is there something more for me? And when you have that realization, it's a catalyst for a transformation. And then that's where they are. They're transforming right now. They're working through and letting go of all the shit that doesn't serve them anymore to be able to move forward in a new direction. They are understanding that you cannot create, what is that? You can't create a solution. It's with the same level of consciousness that created it. So you can't operate from the same level of consciousness that you created a problem with and create a solution. And it's like they're understanding that there's a transformation that has to take place for them to be able to move in the direction that they want. So then we have the Page of Cups with the Dreamer of Vials, which is the Page of Cups in the traditional tarot. This is somebody who is maybe has a tendency to feel like defeated before they even start, like they're beat before they get out in the ring. But this is a mental attitude. This is like when you looked at, like, what was that? I think it was Rocky 3, where Rocky Balboa fought the guy from Russia, and he was like, if he had gone in there just looking at the facts, like this guy was like 17 billion feet tall, he was giant and whatever, and Rocky is like all of 5'4". The odds were all stacked against him, but he had belief in himself, and he knew that he could. He believed that he could defeat this person. But this is a person that needs to overcome this negative perspective. It's like they may look at their lives and be like, I'm just being realistic, I'm just being honest about things, and not recognizing that they're quote unquote being honest about things is actually limiting their perspective. They're really needing to work through that. Okay, they really need to work through that energy and release that negative perspective. That's really, I think, what this is about. I feel like that's what a lot of this is about, is what's coming up for them is some awareness around patterns and negativity and how they have participated in their own limitations, and something that they need to move through. And then we have the Seven of Candles. That is this can be two things. It's winning after challenges. It's like, but if you look at the people around them, there's like, competition, angry, jealousy. So part of what could be happening right now is this is a person who is feeling like there are people who want to tear them down. So this could be like, this is an energy in the traditional tarot of competitiveness and so on and so forth. But this is like, the way that I see this card showing up right here is that is something that they have to move through. This to me is almost like an ego card. The way the energy is coming through right now, I don't normally read it this way, but what it's coming through right now is people who get caught up in their own ego and the limitations of the beliefs that they have, and seeing things like, if you're always seeing people as like wanting to bring you down and competing with you and whatnot, then it's going to be hard to create relationships and allies. Okay, and so this is also someone who has to learn how to trust their own intuition. This is like, this person that you're listening for may be somebody who listens to what other people say, takes a lot of affirmation from other people, and gets a lot of feedback, and isn't solid in making their own decisions. They may be the type of person who makes decisions based on what like society expects from them, or based on what their parents or their church or whatever might think, and then they're not happy with that. And so that's really what's holding them back, is they need to really learn to trust their own intuition and their own guidance. So what do I want to do here? I'm going to actually switch, and I'm going to use a different deck right now because I just feel like led to do this. So I'm going to use the Oracle of the Mermaids, and I'm going to pull maybe 1 or 2 cards about whether they want to reunite. Like, what is it that they want right now? Do they want to reunite? I like this song, but I'm going to switch it. So put on some Maxwell. From the soundtrack of Love and Basketball. If you're old enough to remember that movie, then y'all are probably close to my age. So let's find out. Does the person you're listening for want to reunite? Look at that. Reclaiming your authenticity. Beautiful. Soul cage. And transparency. I mean, this is beautiful. This is such a beautiful, such gorgeous energies right here. Reclaiming your authenticity. They want, well, to me, because of the nature of this connection, they were never more authentic than when they were with you. And that just gave me goosebumps. So I know that that's a truth chill. They were never more honest and authentic and transparent than they were when they were with you. That is a very clear message that Spirit is sending through. Like, they were able to be honest and tell you the truth, and you still loved them and accepted them regardless of what their past was or where they were. You were never judgmental. That's not to say that you were a doormat, okay? Because, like, I had some really strong boundaries with my divine masculine. I had to, because there were some behaviors that I just wasn't gonna, participate in. But it was never out of a place of anger or a place of, not that I didn't get angry, because I did get angry at times, but I'm saying it was never a space of, like, judgmental or negativity or harshness. It was like loving, like, tough love. And so that what I'm getting is that even if in that space of, if you had to give tough love, if you had to hold boundaries and do those things, that they really are understanding that it wasn't because you were criticizing or critical or hard. It was because you loved them and you loved yourself enough to demand more. And so it really feels very much like they're when they think about this reuniting, it's like they felt at home with you. They felt welcome. They felt open, they felt vulnerable, they felt like they could be transparent, that they could be authentic, that they could be exactly who they are, flaws and all. And that while you weren't going to be codependent with them and you weren't going to participate in any kind of like lower level, negative, ego-based kind of stuff, that you were going to call them higher, because that's what divines do. We call each other higher. We raise each other's vibes. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what we do in this connection. That it was all love. Okay, so I'm really getting that they're really understanding that it was all love, and they want to come back to that authenticity. They want to come back to that space where they feel like seen and loved and treasured and accepted, and also encouraged to rise higher. They also feel that pull toward that again, where they're like, man, this nostalgia card that came up, the 6 of Cups. It's like they're thinking back and they're looking and they're at this connection. They're thinking, man, my being in connection with that person really was good for me. It really did make me be a better person. And they want that again. So it's very beautiful. And this is like, they want to get out of the soul cage that they're in. Whatever decisions that they've made in their life, the choices that they've made, the paths that they've chosen, partnerships, whatever, it feels like a cage. They feel imprisoned right now. They feel like they are locked in, and they want to get free. They want to get out. They want to escape from this captivity that they are in. They feel like whatever decisions they've made have led them to this place where their soul is in a cage, and they want to fly free. They want to be able to come out of that and soar in ways that they haven't in the past. I mean, it is absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to move that out, and we're going to look at their fears. So what are their fears right now? Like, what's stopping them? Yamaya, visions, or their fears. Yeah, fears. That's what we're looking at. Sorry. and adrift. It's interesting because if you look at that, like all of these are like somebody who's like kind of just floating along. So what are their fears? Is this primordial? Whenever I see primordial, I think about that. That goes back to that kind of like primal energy. It comes back to that sense of when you get tapped into your primal self, the primal, wild, animalistic part of ourselves. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm talking about like tapping into that wild woman energy if you're a feminine, talking about that, Iron John energy if you're a masculine watching. And it's about when you step into that space where you feel unrestricted and you feel like you're free, and it's like that energy can actually be very provoke fear for people because it feels out of control. When you're in you're in a soul cage. Being in a soul cage sucks, but on the one hand, but it also is like a manageable energy. You kind of know what to expect there, right? I'm going to use a weird example here, but it's what's coming up. It's that like when I used to work, when I was doing therapy, I used to work with people who were convicted of crimes. And one of the things that they struggled with after was coming out back into the real world. And they're like, now I don't have somebody telling me what to do. I don't have all these restrictions and all these limitations and somebody like monitoring my every move. And now I'm responsible for myself and the choices that I make. And it feels intimidating. It feels intense. And so it's actually something that people struggle with. I feel like that's what this is. This is the energy that they're fearing, is that freedom to choose their own way and make their own decisions, to take responsibility. Because there's a quote by some existential philosopher, I believe, that says, what is the worst thing that can happen when you take responsibility for your life is you have no one to blame. Oh, it's Erica Jong who said that. And that is what they're fearing right now, is this taking full responsibility for their life, meaning that then there's no one else to blame. If they make decisions and they tank their life, they're the only one that they can be, they're the only ones that are responsible for that. This is also a card about, really, it's a very divine feminine card. This is about, there is a bit of a fear of that feminine energy. And you know what? It makes a lot of sense. We live in a patriarchal society and world. Patriarchy is the name of the game. That's what it's been built upon. People are afraid of the feminine. The feminine is a more, tender, gentle, receptive energy that's collaborative, not like ruling with an iron fist like we're accustomed to. And any kind of change can provoke fear and difficulty. So this is definitely a little bit of a fear of the feminine power that they're experiencing. They're also experiencing some fear about these visions, these psychic images, clairvoyant seeing, and out-of-body travel, which is interesting because I am 99.9% sure that I had an astral experience conversation this week with my masculine. It's interesting that this came up because I was just talking to a girlfriend about this earlier. But that actually scares them. It actually freaks them out when they have those like out-of-body experiences or those psychic visions. Because they're not accustomed to it. And so the person that you're listening for, whether they're a divine masculine or divine feminine, is definitely someone who is experiencing more of this psychic, intuitive awareness. Those signs and synchronicities that we've been talking about, that people have been seeing, have really kind of started to freak them out, where they're like, how is this possible? Like, what is going on here? Like, why am I seeing this person's name everywhere? Why is... why are there pictures of them popping up out of nowhere? What the hell is going on? What is going on here? Spirit, universe, that's something that they're experiencing. It's actually freaking them out a little bit because it's putting it right in front of their face. I don't mean freaking them out in a bad way. I mean freaking them out in the sense that they're like, it's like the universe is just putting it in their face and putting it in their face. And it's kind of like, okay, I can't deny this anymore. I need to look at this a little bit closer. They're afraid to let go. Okay, they feel like if they let go of what they've been clinging to, that it's going to be that they're going to just be floating along. They're afraid of that. They are more comfortable being in a space of controlling their situations or feeling like they're in control. Right? Because once you start understanding the way that the divine works, you understand that none of us are ever really in control. We just think we are. All we can really control is our feelings and responses to circumstances. Everything else is kind of out of our hands. but they're afraid to let go. They're afraid to just surrender and allow the divine to lead. They're really afraid to just lay back into this energy and let things shape up as they are meant to shape up. They're struggling with that. It's a big fear for them. So I'm going to move this aside, and we're going to look at their regrets. What is it that they're regretting right now? Lemuria returns. The unseen. And endurance. So I get this from this. Lemuria returns, earthly spirituality, community, and ocean conservation. What I really get from this energy is that I get that they feel like they had an opportunity. This was an opportunity to tap into something that was really powerful and beautiful. It says, I want to look at this for a minute. Lemuria was and is a tropical paradise that was home to millions of beings who grew and developed out of this planet's earth and oceans, evolving from sea beings into beings of land, sky, and sea. Many of them today still able to genetically tap into these ancient memories. I'm going to skip ahead, and it says Lemurians were balanced. They were in-betweens. They were not competitive. So what they're regretting is that they didn't stay in that space of the between space, the mystery. They kind of ran from the mystery of what was happening. They went back to what was safe. They had this opportunity to really be to create this sense of community. It's like the two of you probably had visions of what it would mean to, like, what it would be like to be together, and like cultivating this whole community and building this really great connection, and tapping into these like really divine energies, where you respect people's choices and boundaries, and you also let people be free, and it's simple, it's not complicated. Like the situation, that the love that you were offering to this person was not complicated, it was simple, it was just based on love, and they went back toward what was comfortable, which was, probably has a lot of dysfunction. They regret that they ran from the unseen. So the unseen is about it says too much is hidden from you in this card. But what I'm getting from this, the energy from this, is that this connection, because this is what a true twin flame connection does, is it brings up all of the unseen stuff. It brings up all of your shadow material, so you can heal it and transmute it, transcend, and become a paradigm shifter in this reality. And they experienced that, and it freaked them out, and they kind of bolted from it. There was not enough that they didn't let themselves get the information that they needed to move forward. They kind of retreated from it. There's a lot that needed to be revealed, and before they did that, before they allowed that to happen, they retreated. It says this card is definitely about being cautious but not being fearful, and there is a difference about that. There's a difference with like crossing your T's and dotting your I's than there is with like running away from things and not taking chances, and that's what they did. And they didn't have the endurance. They gave up. It got hard and they gave up. And that may be a pattern for them, that when things get difficult, they give up or they run away. And so it could be that energy that they regret, that they didn't have the endurance, that when the shit got hard, they bailed. And that isn't what a divine being does. A divine being knows how to tap into their endurance and keep things going. So those are their regrets in terms of this situation. So I'm going to move this aside. Some days I can barely breathe. So I'm going to use this beautiful new deck that I got as a gift from one of my viewers. Thank you. You know who you are. It's the Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle. And I'm just going to pull 3 cards from here. I'm going to pull a card for what's going on in their mental space, what's going on in their heart space, and what's going on in their physical space right now. Okay, so their mental space. Authority. The frequency of authority reminds us that our true authority is powerful, directed, and realized, yet receptive, wise, and loving. Beautiful. Where are they in their heart space? Perception. The frequency of perception supports our natural curiosity, moving us beyond our comfort zone to find the edges of what we perceive as real and to take a good, hard, deep look at it. That to me is talking about tapping into their intuition, really tapping into intuition, which is why they might be freaking out about the psychic visions that they're getting. And then physical space, earth. The frequency of earth activates our deep connection to the physical plane by showing us the beauty of all the aspects of our Great Mother and revealing the more ethereal, spiritual aspects of our nature. Now, I don't normally read astrology signs. That's just not something I do. Not that I don't think it's valid, but it's not something that works, that is, something I do. But what I wanted to point out is that one of the cards that came up earlier was about, it said something about Earth. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Lemuria. Lemuria returns. And so this card and this card coming up, this message could be particularly salient for Earth signs. So I'm not saying that it only applies to that. I'm saying that it's a possibility that if you are an Earth sign or your counterpart is an Earth sign, that this message is really particularly resonant for you. Again, I'm not an astrologer, but I know that it's not just your primary sign that matters, it's your moon sign. And so just take that information as it works. But whenever I see two things come up like that, it's important and it's something that we need to look at. So going to move that aside. And I'm going to just pull some final messages. From the Talk to Me Like I'm Someone You Love deck. This is by Nancy Dreyfus. I'm going to put the music up a little higher. So this is what they would say to you if they could speak right now. If they were standing in front of you, what is it that they would want to say to you? If you're not driving or in a place that you can, I would encourage you to, as I shuffle, to close your eyes and imagine them standing in front of you and imagine them delivering a message to you. So the first message that they would say to you is, all I want is for you to listen to me with an open heart. The next message, I think I'm supposed to know how to do this, but honestly, I have no idea. Oh, that's just so goosebumpy again. And then right now, I'd do anything for you to know how much I love you. Beautiful. That actually gave me tears in my eyes. And I'm not some soft, just kidding, I'm not going to go into that. I am very tender actually, but I don't cry very easily. So just beautiful messages. I'm going to move these aside. And I'm going to wrap up with this. Final messages from their higher self to you, from the Lover's Oracle. What is it that their higher self wants you to know right now? The song that's playing in the background is Kissing You by Desiree from the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack from like 1996 or something. Okay. Final messages. The first one that came out was friendship. Nurture the bonds of friendship within your relationship and your love life will dramatically improve. Next message. Let there be closeness between you, but always give each other space. Love never claims, it simply allows and gives. Next message. Life is a series of constantly shifting cycles. When we resist change, we resist the natural flow of life and create unnecessary stress. Go with the flow. You'll be surprised where it leads. Next is playfulness. Laughter is the best therapy. Have some fun together, and remember, love is the greatest healer. And finally, soulmate. Beautiful. Your soulmate is already with you in spirit. Believe this and they will manifest physically. They wanted to confirm that for you. If you've been wondering if this was a soul-based connection, that's your answer. So I hope that this reading resonated for you. Please let me know if you have any questions, and have a great rest of your day and weekend. Take care. Bye.